They're monitoring your social media, your forum posts, and even your jokes about government overreach. They've been at it for years, and now we finally have the proof to show it's gone too far. Curious? Well, we all should be. Today, we'll look at newly revealed documents that confirm the ATF's sweeping surveillance of law-abiding gun owners online, the real purpose behind this Orwellian operation, and why it matters to every single American who values the Second Amendment. The ATF's Internet Investigation Center has been collecting data on people who talk about firearms in Facebook groups, on Reddit, on gun forums like AR15.com, and even on online classified sites such as Craigslist, Backpage, or American Listed. This surveillance isn't just about chasing down criminals. Evidence shows the ATF has been gathering information on private individuals conducting perfectly legal transactions. They've been tracking those who purchase parts or build firearms at home, and they've been keeping tabs on anyone who takes extra steps to protect their privacy. According to the ATF's own words, the more anonymity a buyer tries to maintain, the more suspicious they appear. Let's be clear. We're not talking about gang members or cartels. We're talking about average, everyday gun owners who simply value their freedom and the right to defend themselves. The unsettling part is how these revelations came to light. Back in January 2020, Gun Owners of America submitted an FOIA request asking if the ATF really was capturing, tracking, and reading posts from the Second Amendment community. That request took nearly 5 years to be answered. Finally, in November 2024, GOA received a 35-page document that spells out in detail just how comprehensive this surveillance program really is. And from that moment on, no one can say it's just a conspiracy. We'll share the link to the FOIA document in the description below, just in case you'd like to read through all of its 104 pages. But if you'd rather not, well, we did all the reading just for you. It shows the ATF has indeed been scouring forums, social media platforms, and online marketplaces under the guise of stopping illegal gun activity. Yet the ATF's own findings show it's not the criminals who are their main focus. It's us, the law-abiding patriots, who are being scrutinized. Before we continue, if this video is helpful in any way, please like, share, subscribe, and click on the bell icon for more of these videos. Thank you for helping us spread the word. When the ATF responded to GOA's FOIA request, it was clear they'd been operating an entire unit dedicated to digital monitoring, the Internet Investigation Center, or IIC. The IIC's job, according to the documents, is to monitor, capture, and analyze social media websites for what they deem to be threats to public safety. The problem? Their definition of a threat is not clearly spelled out. In practice, if someone jokes about resisting a hypothetical gun ban or makes sarcastic comments about government officials, that could be interpreted as a suspicious post. And if you think that once they realize you're not actually dangerous, they'll delete your info, think again. The ATF documents confirm that even if you're found not to be a credible threat, they may continue monitoring you just in case. It gets worse. The FOIA documents reveal how the ATF lumps together all sorts of online marketplaces under broad terms like deep web and dark net. Yes, there are criminal elements in hidden corners of the internet, and nobody here is defending illegal activity. But the ATF repeatedly blurs the line between illegal trafficking and legal private firearm sales. That's deeply problematic because private sales are recognized as lawful in many jurisdictions. The ATF's own analysis states that individuals who prefer to keep their transactions discreet are automatically more suspicious, implying that if you value your privacy, you must be doing something wrong. That's a chilling stance for a government agency to take. The FOIA documents also detail how the ATF categorizes different online sales platforms, from major sporting goods stores, where everything is handled by an FFL and all laws are followed, to small online retailers, auction sites like Gunbroker or ArmsList, and classified ads where private sales can happen. The ATF basically acknowledges in their own paperwork that big retailers like Bass Pro or Cabela's pose virtually no risk for illegal transfers, since everything goes through the proper channels, yet they still watch them. They watch smaller online retailers, auctions, and marketplaces. They also pay special attention to forums like AR15.com or The Truth About Guns, plus social media groups on Facebook or Reddit, because private transactions might happen or be discussed there. Then there's the dark web, which they frame as a hotbed of illegal gun sales. Their own data, however, indicates that firearm listings on dark web marketplaces are a tiny fraction of listings compared to narcotics or other contraband. Many of those firearm listings turn out to be scams or law enforcement stings. Nevertheless, the ATF waves the specter of the dark web around to justify more aggressive snooping on all of us. The second transcript that surfaced provides an even clearer picture of how long this has been going on and the depths to which some ATF officials will stoop. We learned that certain ATF inspectors, such as an official named Nicholas Spranza Jr., have been directly involved in both in-person harassment of FFLs and in the intelligence gathering effort. In one case, Spranza targeted a Florida firearms dealer, at times breaking the law by taking records off-site without a warrant, accusing parents of committing straw purchases for simply buying a gun for their adult daughter and threatening to shut down the shop. That same individual's name appears in these FOIA documents. Why does this matter? Because it shows that the mentality within certain corners of the ATF is to treat law-abiding owners and dealers as though they're criminals. The approach is gotcha, not let's address real crime. We also see how the ATF conflates perfectly legal activities with illegal ones. The FOIA documents mention exploiting gaps in firearm laws by building 3D printed firearms, finishing 80% receivers, or forming trusts to purchase NFA items. Every one of those actions, when done correctly, is lawful. The ATF, however, frames them as dubious loopholes that they need to keep an eye on. They talk about build parties in which people gather to finish AR-15 receivers as if it's inherently criminal, ignoring the fact that federal regulations permit individuals to build their own firearms for personal use. Again, the real objective seems to be to make private gun ownership more traceable, or to treat every unregistered or private sale as suspect. There's a strong suggestion in these documents that the ATF is frustrated with the 1986 ban on a federal registry. They complain openly that private sales don't produce paperwork they can track and that the secondary market is growing. Gun production is also on the rise, leaving the ATF vexed by the fact that more and more firearms enter circulation every year without the government having a neat digital trail. But that's exactly what the Second Amendment is about. The right of the people to keep and bear arms, not the privilege extended only when the government has you on file. Many of us see the refusal to create a permanent record of every gun owner as not a bug, but a feature of living in a free country. The FOIA request also details how the ATF deals with posts. They label threat indicators. They preserve these posts, capture entire social media profiles, draft emergency disclosures to platforms demanding user info, and then attempt to identify the user's real-world identity. Once they de-anonymize a user, they may contact local authorities. Meanwhile, the targeted individual may have done nothing illegal. Yes, if someone is issuing credible threats of violence, no one disputes that law enforcement has an interest in responding. But the problem arises when the definition of threat is broad enough to include sarcasm, jokes, or general anti-government sentiments. These lines can easily be misapplied. The first transcript that came out on this topic highlighted how ATF officials, even before the FOIA docs were released, had a track record of mocking gun owners who wished to keep their ownership private. There were statements along the lines that gun owners only want anonymity because they're either criminals or paranoid about the government. But after seeing how the agency is prepared to track our every post, who can blame people for being paranoid? The Second Amendment community has every reason to be cautious when an organization set up to regulate firearms is now involved in broad digital surveillance, especially when it lumps lawful behavior in with genuine crimes. One of the revelations from these transcripts is that even if you post something clearly within your rights, like a legal gun transaction in your state, the ATF might still label you as worth monitoring. You might simply say you'd like to sell an extra rifle to another resident, meeting all the local laws, but that could be flagged. The rationale? It's a private sale, and the ATF wants to track every transfer. If you're not going through an FFL, they consider that an unregulated transaction, meaning they can't trace it in the future. While that's exactly what's allowed in many states, the ATF sees it as an impediment to building a massive, centralized gun database. Their language betrays their dissatisfaction with Congress not giving them complete control over who owns what firearm. This is where President Trump's promise to dismantle bureaucratic overreach becomes central to the conversation. If the administration is truly pro-2A, they should rein in the ATF's inclination to act above the law. The FOIA document shows an agency that's grown comfortable monitoring speech and behavior that was never intended to be subject to federal oversight. If we don't hold the ATF accountable, they'll keep pushing further, effectively punishing free discussion about firearms, lawful private sales, and even homemade guns. What does this mean for the everyday person who wants to buy or sell a firearm, or who wants to post their build project in an online forum? It means we have to be aware that the government is watching these spaces more closely than ever. The fear is that someone behind a desk can misinterpret a comment or take it out of context and brand you a threat. We've already seen scenarios where law enforcement shows up at people's homes based on social media misunderstandings. Combine that with the ATF's known hostility toward private ownership, and it becomes a recipe for potential abuse. Innocent people could end up in legal tangles just because an agent decided their post deserved more scrutiny. It also highlights the need to support organizations willing to file FOIA requests and lawsuits to protect our rights. GOA has been relentless in bringing these issues to light. They expose the ATF's zero-tolerance policy that punishes FFLs for minor paperwork errors, and now they've confirmed the ATF's expansive digital surveillance scheme. If we don't push back through the courts, Congress, and public awareness, the ATF will continue to expand its powers without any meaningful checks. We've seen that in other areas of government as well. No matter the agency, if there's no resistance, the scope of power just keeps growing. Once it's established that the ATF can search and log every gun post on social media, it's not a big jump for them to start demanding more data or punishing platforms that don't cooperate. The documents even show that the ATF reaches out to social media companies, sometimes pushing them to remove content or provide user information. That could lead to a scenario in which private groups are forced to comply with government demands behind the scenes, all while gun owners have no idea they're being watched. Social media itself is becoming a gatekeeper of expression, and if the gatekeepers are in partnership with the ATF, that's cause for grave concern for anyone who values the Bill of Rights. We can't stress enough that this is a fundamental issue of civil liberties. It's not purely about firearms, it's about a government agency deciding it can watch and log what you do online without any clear constraints. In the face of these revelations, we have to remember that knowledge is power. Being aware of the ATF's tactics allows gun owners to be more mindful of where they post personal details. It also shows how important it is to challenge the agency on legal grounds and to remind our elected representatives that we will not tolerate bureaucratic overreach. We should ask our representatives to grill ATF leadership about this systematic monitoring of social media. We should demand a clear definition of what constitutes a threat and what recourse citizens have if they're flagged. We should insist that the ATF stick to its original mandate, enforcing laws that Congress has passed, not creating new rules or building a registry behind closed doors. And that's all I have for you in this video. If it was helpful or informative, please help our channel. Click on the like button, share this video with your friends, subscribe, and click on the bell icon for more of these videos. Thanks for watching.